You have $400 in your checking account, and a valet is opening the door of a hotel you cannot afford. It is 7:15 in the evening. The lobby smells like fresh lilies and old money, and a man in a suit worth more than your car nods at you like you belong. You nod back, slower than him. That half second of slowness is the whole trick, and nobody in this room knows you learned it 2 weeks ago, watching How the Wealthy Move. Here is the thing they never tell you, the thing that took you an embarrassingly long time to understand. The room does not check your bank account. It cannot. There is no scanner at the door reading your net worth. The room reads signals: how you walk, how long you take to answer, where your eyes go, what you refuse to be impressed by. And every single one of those signals is free. That is the secret that made your stomach drop the first time you saw it clearly. The barrier to entry was never money. It was behavior. And behavior can be borrowed. So you walk to the bar and you do not look at the prices. That is the first rule, and it feels illegal the first time you do it. Your whole life you scanned menus right to left, hunting the cheapest thing, apologizing with your eyes. Tonight, you order a glass of something you cannot pronounce, and you do not ask what it costs. $26. It hurts. You do not let it show, because the tell of the broke is not the wallet, it is the flinch. The wealthy never flinch at a number, because to them, the number was never the point. You are practicing not flinching. It is a muscle. You are building it right now, one $26 wince at a time. A woman at the end of the bar catches your eye. Diamonds. Real ones. The kind that don't sparkle so much as sit there heavy and certain. She's with two men in open collar shirts, the uniform of people so rich they stopped wearing ties years ago. Your old instinct screams to look away, to shrink, to be small so nobody asks a question you can't answer. You feel it, that hot flush of I don't belong here. Name it. That feeling is called scarcity, and everyone in this room can smell it like blood in water. Predators of status feed on it. So you do the opposite. You hold her gaze exactly one beat longer than is comfortable, give a small closed-mouth smile, and look away first. On your terms, not hers. Now you're interesting. Now you're a puzzle. You did that with $0. What you're learning, standing there with a drink you can barely afford, is that status is a language, and money is only one of its dialects. And honestly, the clumsiest one. The truly powerful don't announce wealth. Announcing is what the insecure do, the guy with the loud watch and the louder story about his car. Real power is quiet, unbothered, a little bored. It withholds, so you withhold. When the men in the open collars drift over and ask what you do, you don't oversell, you don't list. You say a few things, mostly trying to spend less time in rooms like this, and you let it hang. They laugh. The laugh is the sound of a door opening, because here is the mechanic under the mechanic. Elite circles don't bond over what you have. They bond over the shared performance of not caring. The complaint about the yacht that's always in the shop. The eye roll about the second home. The tired joke about their accountant. It's all coded. It's all a way of saying, we're the kind of people for whom this is normal. And you cannot buy your way into that performance. You can only join it. So you join it. When one of them grumbles about a delayed flight, you don't gasp about private planes you've never seen. You just sigh and say, the waiting is the worst part, as though you, too, are perpetually inconvenienced by luxury. And it lands. Because you spoke the dialect. The woman with the diamonds is closer now. She asks where you're staying. Your heart does a small ugly thing, because you are not staying here. You spent your gas money on the drink and the parking. But you've already learned that the truth of the answer matters less than the shape of it. Just in for the evening, you say. Easy, like a man with 3 cities to be in this week. It's not a lie, it's a frame. And the frame is doing something extraordinary. It's making her lean in. You realize, in this moment, holding a glass sweating in your hand, that you have crossed something. An hour ago, you were a guy checking his balance in his car in the parking garage, breathing to slow his heart. Now, three people who could buy your entire life several times over are treating you like a peer. Nothing about your money changed. Everything about your signals did. And that gap between what you have and how you're being treated is the most valuable thing you own tonight. Then, one of the open-collar men leans in and says the sentence that will decide your whole evening. We're heading up to a thing after this. Small group. You should come. And there it is. The invitation. The thing you cannot manufacture, cannot buy, cannot fake your way toward. It has to be offered. You feel the pull to say yes instantly, eagerly, the way the hungry say yes. Don't. The hungry yes is a tell too. So you tilt your head, you glance at your wrist like there's a schedule living there, and you say, maybe. Depends how the night goes. The uncertainty is the hook. You've just told them you have options, and people always want most the thing that might not choose them back. Upstairs is a suite that costs more per night than you make in a month. Low lighting, a bottle on the marble counter that you clock as being worth about $600, and 8 people who all have the same relaxed shoulders, the posture of people who have never once, in their lives, been told a card was declined. You feel the old panic try to rise. This is the deep end. One wrong question, one wrong flinch, and the whole thing collapses and you're the fraud they'll laugh about later. Name that fear too. It's still scarcity, just wearing a nicer room, so you do what you've done all night, only harder. You listen more than you talk. You've discovered the second secret hiding under the first. The broke over-explain, and the rich ask questions. When you're desperate to prove you belong, you narrate yourself. When you actually belong, or perform it well, you're curious about them, because you have nothing to prove. So you ask a man about the vineyard he mentioned, and you let him talk for 4 minutes, and you nod slowly, and at the end, you say one precise thing about soil and altitude that you read in a magazine at a dentist's office 3 years ago. His eyes light up. You've been promoted from stranger to interesting person in a single sentence. Cost, $0. Currency, attention. Aimed well. Here's the engine of the whole night. The thing nobody in this suite would ever say out loud. Status is a mirror. People treat you the way you behave as though you deserve to be treated. Nobody audits it. Nobody can. The system runs entirely on the assumption that anyone acting like they belong probably does, because the true frauds, the insecure, the loud, the flinchers, usually give themselves away in the first 30 seconds. So the room stops checking, it relaxes, it folds you in. And the wild, dizzying truth you're standing inside of right now is that the velvet rope was never made of money. It was made of certainty. And certainty is a performance anyone can rehearse. But somewhere near midnight, the woman with the diamond sits beside you, and she says something quiet that lands harder than any of it. You're different from them, she says. You actually listen, and you feel the ground shift under the game. Because she doesn't mean it as flattery. She means she's lonely in a room full of people who only ever perform. And you realize the tools you borrowed to sneak in, the listening, the withholding, the refusal to flinch, those weren't just a con. They were the actual things these people are starving for. The rich are surrounded by mirrors and desperate for a single real face. You came in faking belonging, and somewhere along the way you gave someone the truest thing they'd gotten all week. That's the cost the night reveals, the one nobody warns you about. You can command the room, you can borrow the signals, and cross the rope and sit on the $600 bottle side of the world. But the moment you succeed, you're standing inside the same emptiness you were trying to break into. A room of people performing at each other, none of them sure who's real. The gap you are so proud of, between what you have and how you're treated, cuts both ways. It's power. It's also a lie you now have to keep holding. You leave before the group thins out. The powerful always leave a little early. Another thing you learned. Down the elevator, through the lobby that still smells of lilies, past the valet who nods again, slower this time, because now you've taught him to. And you walk out into the cold and get into your own car, the one worth less than that man's suit. And you sit there for a second, With $400 still in your checking account and a woman's phone number in your pocket that money could not have bought. You had it exactly backwards your whole life. You thought the wealthy got treated like that because they had the money. The truth is quieter and much more dangerous. They get treated like that because they stopped flinching, stopped explaining, stopped asking permission to exist in the room. The money followed the behavior far more often than it led it. The valet opened the door for how you walked, not for what you were worth. And the secret was never having the money. It was knowing that the room can't see your bank account. It can only see you deciding, one unflinching second at a time, that you belong. Now, start the engine. You've got 3 cities to be in this week.